Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to be able to amplify the fact that the Canadian economy is doing relatively well with a new Prime Minister and a government that's focused on building a Canada strong through bringing down barriers so that there's more trade within Canada. We've seen significant commitments going into the billions of dollars towards major projects. We've seen expanded trading opportunities. Today we have the announcement of jobs. In the last 3 months alone, over 150,000 jobs that have been created. Yet we see the Conservative Party throughout this whole process doing what it can to prevent legislation from passing, whether it's the budget, Mr. Speaker, whether it's good legislative reforms or changes in bail. The Conservative Party seems to be in the way of Canadians being able to realize even greater benefit. Would he not agree that it's time the Conservative Party get out of the way?
The honourable member for Northumberland Clark.
Yeah, well, there is so much I disagree with in that, but I'll focus on my shadow cabinet area, which is interprovincial trade. And he should actually consult with his own bureaucrats, who I wrote to, and asked them exactly how much has the reduction in interprovincial trade barriers, the federal interprovincial trade barriers, the progress they've made and that contributed to the economy. You know what they said, Mr. Speaker? Zero. And that's how much sense this member makes.
Questions et commentaires, questions and comments. The honourable member for Oshawa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And it's interesting to see the Liberals get up time and time again and try to trick Canadians with fake good news. They talk about, an increase in jobs, but they fail to mention we're talking about part-time jobs versus full-time jobs. Not even to add on that full-time, people who are working in full-time jobs right now, Mr. Speaker, are still lining up at food banks. And this unaffordable budget is going to make things so much worse. And I would welcome the member to comment on that. I'm so thankful for his speech. He lives and represents the similar region that I do down in the Durham region. So I'd love to hear his comments on that. Thank you.
The honourable member for Northumberland Clark.
Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, one of the greatest challenges to democracy, certainly in the 20th century and likely before then, is demagogues. And that's what we hear from this side. We call it modern-day gaslighting. But the reality is Canada's economy is not as strong as it should be. Our oil and gas sector has been kneecapped by this government, which drove productivity historically for Canada. We had GDP per capita growth the worst since the Great Depression in the last 10 years, and this government will seize on the smallest bit of good information and try to exploit it to make it look like like something that isn't true. The reality is that if you want to see the issues of the Canadian economy, just come down to the Cobourg Fair Share Food Bank and you'll see the realities.
Questions and comments. Questions et commentaires. L'honorable député de Rivière.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I listened closely to my colleague's speech. I'd like to hear his position on the fact that all of our plans have led to October and November having 60,000 jobs added per month. Will my colleagues support the Budget Implementation Act?
For Northumberland Clark.
The reality is that we actually lost full-time jobs, and most of the jobs were part-time. And that shows that Canadians are struggling. We need great full-time jobs, jobs that should have been at Stellantis, jobs that should have been at Algoma Steel, jobs that should have been at Weetabix in my riding. It's this government driving out the economic wealth creators, the job creators, that is causing our Canadian economy to lose great union jobs.
Questions and comments. Questions et commentaires. L'honorable député de Pierre-Boucher, les Patriotes, Verchères.
The honourable member for Pierre-Boucher, les Patriotes, Verchères. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I listened closely to my colleague's speech. I'm on the Transport Committee with him. And in fact, I wanted to speak about the Transport Committee. In his speech, we're hearing that he supports deregulation. I understand his reasoning. He's saying that with too much red tape, we smother businesses and make them less productive. But on the other hand, there are also problems when we don't have enough regulation or when they're not appropriately applied. Like, for example, what we're looking at committee, the issue of the contract truckers, a situation which the Liberal government allowed to continue for a decade before it was revealed brutally by the work we did at the committee. Does my colleague think that in a case like that one, we should remove regulations?
Berlin Clark in 30 seconds or less.
Thank you very much. So the Liberals want lots of regulations that they don't enforce. Conservatives want less regulation that we do enforce. And that, I think, would go a long way to solving the Drivers' Inc. problem. Thank you.